Hello, good evening. Welcome to Hot Edition here on 3FM 92.7. We're coming to you live from our studios here on the John Hammond Street here on the TV3 premises. Coming up this evening, Inspector General of Police Christian Tete Yohonu deploys over 100 former police personnel to quell tensions at Binyiri following violent communal clashes which claimed lives and displaced several others. Tonight, we put in perspective the security situation, particularly in the northern part of the country, as analysts continue to say they pose a major challenge for the country. Also, authorities in Oti region grapple with typhoid outbreak with over 10,000 confirmed cases. We get into the details for you, plus speak to health professionals in the region as to what is driving the numbers in the airport's trajectory. A lot later on the political front, Kwabena Japan becomes first aspirant to formally file his nomination for the January 30, 2026 flag bearer contest of the opposition NPP. The big question, is he the right person to lead the NPP back into glory? We have details of these, including sports and business, if you stay with us for the next 60 minutes. Many thanks for joining us from wherever you're listening. This is Hot Edition here on 3FM 92.7. We're streaming live on Facebook. Our handle's 3FM 927. Also across the country on our numerous affiliates. Do well to send a message to us via our Facebook feed and trust that we'll do the reading for you. I am Mawuena Egbeta sitting in for Alfredo Kanse this evening, and we're getting straight into the news briefs or news summaries as it's saxonly called. Christabel, Treve is here to do that for us. Christabel, what's in the news summaries?
Thank you very much, Mawuena. And in a summary tonight, the Oti Regional Minister John Kwejo-Jepong has revealed that the surge in typhoid cases in the region has claimed the lives of key figures, including a traditional leader and a former municipal chief executive of Dambai. Mr. Jepong described the situation in the regional capital as bad and scary, warning that the disease is spreading rapidly and taking lives. Some political stories. The NPP has announced the start of registration for additional delegates ahead of its upcoming presidential primary scheduled for Saturday, January 31, 2026. In a statement issued by the Secretary of the Presidential Elections Committee, William Yamwa, the party said the registration follows a decision made of the National Annual Delegates Conference, which was held on July 19, 2025 in Accra. All qualified individuals are expected to register their names with their respective regional constituency or external branch offices. Meanwhile, an online registration platform will also be made available, particularly for those members in the diaspora. Still on the NPP, the Ashanti Regional Youth Wing of the New Patriotic Party has lashed out at the National Communications Authority, NCA, over the recent closure of 3 Wontumi radio stations, describing the action as a calculated attempt to silence the vibrant voice of their grassroots. In a statement signed by the regional youth organizer, Raphael Patrick Safo, and issued on Tuesday, August 26, the youth wing condemned what it sees as a politically motivated move to cripple a media outlet known for giving voice to the party's grassroots base. Now, finally, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA, has announced that its planned introduction of a new vehicle number plate system in 2026 will help curb smuggling and prevent the registration of vehicles that evade import duties. The move follows recent cases of cars smuggled into the West African sub-region, particularly Ghana. DVLA Chief Executive Officer Julius Nikwe Korte, in a statement shared on Facebook, said the new plate will be fitted with radio frequency identification technology and linked directly to a central database, making it impossible to register what he calls Togo cars or vehicles brought into the country without proper documentation. We have this and very lot more on our website, 3news.com. Over to you, Mawuena.
Many thanks Thanks, Christabel. And we're going straight into our very first story for you this evening, where the Inspector General of Police, Christian Totoyohunu, is in the Savannah region after the violent clashes at Binyere in the Sola Tuna Kalba district, which claimed lives and left others injured. Mr. Yohunu led a high-powered team from the National Police Headquarters to Damongo, where he met with the Savannah Regional Security Council to, amongst many things, coordinate response measures. The IGP also paid a visit to the overlord of the Gonjaland and his chiefs at the Jakpa Palace and assured them of a reinforced security presence to protect lives and property. And we know that police reinforcement teams, including the Formed Police Unit and counter-terrorism personnel, are working with the Ghana Armed Forces to stabilize the Sola, Binyere, Giniri, and nearby communities. The authorities there say investigations are underway to bring the perpetrators of the violence to justice. But let's hear from the Inspector General of Police, Christian Totoyohunu, who's been speaking, quite a lengthy one. Then we get onto the telephone lines where concerns are fast springing about how sporadic these violent incidents are being recorded in the northern part of the country for the first part of this year.
When we realized that it was just going from village to village, we have also mobilized more FPU personnel, over 100 FPU personnel from Accra who have just arrived, and over 30 counter-terrorism units who have also arrived to support the men over here. Eventually, we have almost getting to 300 policemen on the ground, at least to help the people who are in this situation. People who are running away from this fight, at least so that we can give them protection, and also try to work together with other security agencies to bring tensions down. In so doing, I could also not sleep in Accra. We are working towards an operation at Agbeta, a by-election that is coming on. So all our mind is geared towards that area. In so doing, I realized that no, I cannot go to Agbeta without putting my foot here to see how our men are also doing their work and whether we still need more attention to be put in this area. And that is why in yesterday night, I mobilized my other POMA members and also informed the Interior Minister that I'm ready to go to Sola, but I cannot go to Sola without stopping over with the Jira to listen to him. And in so doing, I have also to see the minister, who is the regional minister over here, at least to give me some insight as to the security situations. And he mobilized his rec set. And when we were there, then we also saw the general officer commanding the northeast sector also came in, which was also in the same direction to come together to see to peace in the area of the Gonja. And so we met, and then our brother, locally the NIB Director General, was also getting out of here when he heard that we were coming, and then the coordinator asked to National Security Coordinator asked him to wait for us. And because he is an indigent from this area, he will tell us where we should step before we get to the ground. And so we are all here to come and then pay courtesy call on the overlord, and also to seek his blessing to enable us to go to the conflict area. And secondly, we know that he's making all efforts to make sure that this tension is brought under control. And to enable him to do that, we have also come here to seek his support and also to encourage him. Because for a very long time, we have never heard of this in Gojala. And we pray that he will also talk to the youth at both sides of the conflict and tell them they should put down their arms so that if there's anything, the chiefs will talk about it to make sure that they bring peace to the area. And so we know that coming to him, he's doing all that will bring peace here. We are coming to encourage him and also pray that all the efforts he's making, the various chiefs, the various youths from all sides that are involved in this conflict will listen to him so that at the end of the day, the very quiet Savannah region that we know will be at peace. So that is why we have come here to say good morning and also seek his blessing and also asking that all the efforts he's making, we are all aware of the efforts he's making to bring peace and coming to encourage.
That's the Inspector General of Police, Christian Tete Yohunu. Let's get onto the phone lines right now because thankfully I've been joined by my colleague Christopher Mwaku and then as well security expert Richard Kumado is a fraud and security consultant. Mr. Kumado, I appreciate you joining us on the telephone line as well, but I'm going to go first off to my colleague Christopher Mwaku, who's been in the region and has been following through with the IGP's visit for a bit more as to what's been happening on the ground. Then I come to you for the conversation and the questions which need to be asked. Chris, thank you very much as well. We know that the IGP has been visiting. He was engaged in a closed-door meeting of some sort with the Regional Security Council. Do we know what came out of the meeting? And if you could move away from the noise, possibly you could be on the road as well, Chris.
Yes, so Mawuena, if you can hear me, the IGP actually has been in the region currently in the Beniri enclave where he's moving from one community to the other to ascertain first-hand information about what is really happening in the area in terms of security. Now, what he's been saying is that he's appealing to the people to lay down their arms and talk or smoke the peace pipe amongst themselves. They've been talking about the fact that since visiting the area, he has realized that most parts of the area is described. So if they want to fight amongst themselves, they will not get the needed development that they want. And so they should embrace peace. He's also been encouraging his men and the sister security service, that is the military, to ensure that calm is restored in the area. He's also been promising that the police will take up the matter, investigate it, and ensure that the perpetrators of this particular conflict are brought to book.
But Chris, you've been in the township.
We see more police officers, we see military officers. The people are still afraid to return to their homes. Right now, as we speak, the Solar police station has become a safe haven for the residents whose homes have been burned, who are running for their lives. Since yesterday, the number keeps increasing here at the Solar police station because that is the only place that most of the people can run to. As we speak, we are told that the majority of the people, women and children, are still in the bushes, in farms, also trying to survive because they fear that when they return to the community, their lives will be in danger. And so it's not over yet, even though security has been tightened or enhanced in the areas to ensure that the lives and properties there right now are protected.
Not over, but for somebody who's just tuning in, when you say not over, what really do you mean? And if you could add a bit more history as to why what we're seeing play out as well.
Yeah, so if I say not over, it means that we still receive reports, even right now, that some communities are under threat of attack. Like we started reporting yesterday, the place is back. So from this community, if this community is attacked now, before you realize it, in some time, another community which is far away from the one that has been attacked is also under attack. So that is how it is. There are reprisal attacks all over, and that is why the situation is still tense, despite police visibility in the area. Now, let me also add that the roads in these areas are very porous. It is very difficult to access the various communities, to connect with the other communities. And so the use of motorbikes has become something that the people rely on. Even the military high command, when they got there, they have to resort to motorbikes to be able to access some of the communities.
They have to use motorbikes and how is the police accessing this? The IGP says there's been reinforcement of formed police personnel, but are we seeing the accompanying vehicles and trucks as well moving to and fro in the community, ensuring that peace is maintained?
Yes, so like I said, visibility, you will see police visibility in some communities. For instance, the Beniri community, yes, police visibility is there. Other two communities around that are easily accessible, and that has been under serious attack. But there are other far communities that is not easily accessible. And right now, as we in the solar area, we're hearing that some other communities are also under threat. And once the women and children hear that their community is next to the attack, they start moving from that community.
And Chris, you've been trying to explain what the genesis of this entire misunderstanding is. Provide a bit more context for us again, why we're seeing this play out, and whether or not the assurance from the Inspector General of Police is calming anybody down, because you're saying the attacks is being reported to be happening elsewhere.
Yes, so this is a protracted land dispute, and this has been there over the period, but this is the first time we're seeing them up against each other in that area. And so there is more to it, Mawuena, because of the way the situation is, unable to bring up to see some of the incidents that actually led to this because of the security implications of some of the issues. But the genesis of this is that someone has a family land, another person, the land has been sold to another person. So this person is building the house, this person is going to build a store, and a misunderstanding ensues, leading to the picking of arms to fire at each other. That has brought us where we are today.
And just finally on the assurance the IGP has been providing, how the chiefs and the people have been reacting to it, just quickly, so we can get on the other line.
So first of all, the Jabongra has indicated that he will call the paramount chief in that particular area to ensure that they call their people to order, so that they will cease fire for peace to prevail. He also asked the police to intensify their patrols in the area and ensure that the perpetrators are actually arrested and brought to you. So that how authorities are actually buying into this. The opinion leaders are buying into this. But what we need right now is the people who are still in the bushes, the people who are struggling to survive, some sort of relief items from NADMO, some sort of intervention from NADMO and other bodies is necessary at this moment.
Christopher, thank you very much. And Christopher Marco is my colleague in the Northern and Savannah regions for us. And if you want to see what it is that it looked like yesterday, go on to our Facebook handle, 3FM927. And that's where we're showing to you videos and pictures of entire communities being driven out of their settlements for fear of being attacked in search of buses. Some are stranded by the roadside. Even as Christopher continues to report that some more communities are hearing that they could be next in terms of the reprisals. These individuals are trying to make their way out of their homes, and there is a fear for their lives at this particular point as we speak. Let's get onto the other telephone line right now and speak to fraud and security consultant Richard Kumado on what we're seeing play out. Mr. Kumado, appreciate you. Let's start off from the intervention which approach is being made by the IGP. We understand he's in the Benyiri township. He's been moving from the chief's palace and headed into town to town, seeking to calm persons that harm will not come to them. From the report we're getting from Christopher, it does suggest that is not doing the magic, as more and more people in different parts are still afraid and are opting to want to leave their homes.
Definitely, yes. If you are familiar with the particular area we are talking about, it's a large stretch of communities. And to the extent that there's public safety challenges and insecurity looming from one community to the other, people are aware that they could become the next person or the next community or the next people, and they will want to run to a shelter where their safety can be guaranteed. The next person they will be looking for will be the police, because they believe that the police can grant them that safety and security they are looking for. I wasn't surprised at all IGP has gotten into the community. One way of curbing crime is to engage the community and the community leaders. And I believe that is what he's doing. To the extent that the villagers are running away from their homes, you will need a bit more men on the ground. But it goes beyond security protection. It goes beyond safety guarantees. The vulnerabilities of the people, their discomfort is also a major issue. And this is where you would need NADMO and some other supporting agencies in that regard to come to the aid of the women and children in particular.
And we'll talk to the issue of what can be done now. The IGP says more formed police personnel are on the ground now. We need more, because Christopher mentions that there's a challenge of bad road network amongst many other things. What more will be needed in the interim to provide that level of assurance so people do not continue to move out of their homes?
Presence of the police will help, or presence of law enforcement officers in general, whether a combination of the police and the military, will be of great help. It serves as deterrent. Then the community leaders speaking to their people, engaging community leaders village by village. Then the presence of the IGP will also mean that whatever resources the security agencies will need to get the job done, they will. Going forward, they will need to plan it in such a way that those behind this particular attack and the spread of it are brought to book. If you leave them, just like this land issue came up the first time and nothing was done, wherever they are hiding, they will come back to town again after the police have left the place. So in as much as we are assuring them and we are guaranteeing their safety and security in whichever form and shape, those behind this particular criminality will need to be brought to book. And that is the only way this whole heinous crime can be, stopped permanently for some time.
Let's talk the bigger, broader picture here. Are we seeing a slacking of some sort? And I say a slacking because since the start of this year, there were specific assurances, starting off with Boku, when the president visited the community as one of the many top priorities he had in bringing peace there. Since then, outside of Boku, we've had pockets and pockets and pockets of instability, if we can call it that, within the northern part of the country. One will say one too many, and one that should have been checked or ought to have been checked by now. Where do you stand on anybody who want to sharply criticize the top security capos for a job not well done in this regard?
Definitely, I agree with you. People have their own reservations, and people have the right to criticize them in that regard. And we have always been of the view that security failure do not necessarily mean intelligence failure. And knowing who the BN9 officers are within this jurisdiction, they would have provided the security intelligence to frontline law enforcement officers. It also goes a long way to look at our security management structure in this country. You have politicians at the helm of affairs, and they could be complicit in many of these cases. And they are the ones taking the final decisions, not the police. It will only get out of hand, and they are looking for the police after, their inactions and actions have facilitated some of these crises we are talking about. I have always been of the view that having politicians at the helm of research and dissect is an archaic security strategy and needed to be changed. Then again, if you look at the manpower or the manpower distribution along our border towns and the conflict zones, the numbers are a little bit small. Resource-wise, they don't have it. Equipment, they don't have it. So I agree with people who would say we should have known better and we should have done far better. Going forward, let's put our heads together and find out what can be done going into the future. Security risk assessment, I'm not the only one with expertise in security risk assessment in this country. There are a number of people with the same capabilities, and they may consult them if they are out of the institution. But then again, let's tackle the root causes of some of these conflicts. Because, Mawuena, it's not the same thing. Some are traditions, some are culture, some are land, some are criminalities, and some are politics. Let's master courage and say that wrong is wrong and right is right. But on the part of security managers, I will also say that security management is a continuous process. The risk assessment outcomes could change anytime, any day. Their readiness and preparedness and resources and equipment management is what does the job. So they will need to look at it again in that regard. And I believe if they put their heads together and look inward, they will find solutions to many of the challenges we are facing in terms of security breaches and safety breaches along the northern part of Ghana.
But how long do we wait for them to look inward? Because lives are being lost. In this instance, some lives have been lost. And dare I say, in the next instance, lives will be lost again. We can't continue to wait for them to look inward. Action should be taken.
Mawuena, he who hires fires, is that not it? He who hires fires, is that not it? Yes, people have to be assigned responsibilities and people have their duties to perform. One of the things we don't do in this country is where we don't allow people to sign performance contracts and service contracts. And so the whole thing looks convenient and it looks more like a family relationship. And this is security management business. This is political management business. I've always been of the view that political governance will have to be equal to security governance. Anytime you swing the pendulum and it doesn't fall in line or you do not create equilibrium, you are going to have a problem. And this seems to be the undertone of many of the inefficiencies and insufficiencies we are having in terms of political governance decisions and security governance decisions. Politicians and security officers will need to have a frank discussion and come to some level of conclusive agreement as to the way forward. Other than that, one may be pretending and the other one might also be running away from their responsibilities.
Right,
but it's also the case that he who hires fires.
And the honors will lie ultimately with the executive arm who's doing the hiring.
Definitely, yes, Mawuena, you've said it all. I'll bring you a certificate. You are the expert from today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kumodo. That's
welcome.
Richard Kumodo. He's a fraud and security consultant speaking to us this evening on the very latest in the Binyiri clashes. We understand the IGP continues to be in town, but this is Hot Edition, and we'll bring you some more stories right now.
Tonight, the OT region has been hit by an outbreak of typhoid fever, with authorities warning the situation could get out of hand if urgent steps are not taken to address it. Official data shows that the region has recorded over 10,200 confirmed cases of typhoid fever in the first half of 2025. Authorities have attributed the outbreak to poor sanitation, weak waste management systems, and limited access to potable water. The development brings into sharp focus the urgent need for improved sanitation and access to safe drinking water. And we're going on to the telephone, Mawuena.
Absolutely, where we have the Regional Environment Health Officer, Cynthia Setre, is joining us right now with a bit more in terms of what we're learning of, because you brought us details of this in that news update where the regional minister was, amongst many things, saying that they had lost important individuals to this typhoid outbreak, including a traditional authority. Madam Setre, thank you very much for joining us this evening here on Hot Edition. Can you paint a picture for us what the situation on the ground is? Over 10,000 typhoid cases?
Thank you very much, Mawuena. I want to take the opportunity to greet your listeners. 10,233 confirmed cases of typhoid fever in OT region is the real state of the region when it comes to communicable diseases as a result of poor environmental sanitation practices. It is true that in OT region, we lack potable water, and it is also for the fact that a lot of the houses are also, and the individuals in the various communities and districts are practicing poor sanitation and measures. For that matter, we as a regional coordinating council have put in measures. And in fact, if you look at this data, OT region can boast of 9 MDAs, Municipal District Assemblies in OT. This data is just for 8 of them, of which 1 is not passed yet. And so it's a public health concern. It is true people are getting, the mortality is there, the mobility is also there. And so the Regional Coordinating Council decided that, look, let us intensify our hygiene education, of which we have done that for about 6 months. Interestingly, people are still not responding, and therefore we decided that we are going to intensify the law. And so 21 task force members have been inaugurated last week, and we are shooting the ground so hard from Tuesday, next week Tuesday. We'll do less talking, but more of the enforcement of the Public Health Act and the Criminal Code that we are working with, including the bylaws of the various MDAs too.
Right, but even before we get into the cracking down and implementation of this strategy, based on the numbers and the data that you're seeing, in which areas is this particularly prone, this outbreak that we're seeing?
It's prone.
Yes, which area is most dominant? Because 10,000 appears quite a lot.
Yeah, in fact, it's cut across all the MDAs. It's cut across all the MDAs. However, the most high prevalence rate is from Kratche West and Kratche East.
So Kratche and the likes. But let's return to the conversation about what you intend doing from, is it Tuesday? Which exactly. Is when? Next week, Tuesday.
Yeah.
But in the interim, now that this has come to the attention, even as we're speaking right now, I believe it's public health education that could be offered to the citizens there. What are the causative organisms, if I can call them that, or activities or behaviors which is spiking this disease and the record numbers that we're seeing?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. The contributing factors for this outbreak is one, we don't have improved or resilient sanitary facilities in the various households. And so you could see that a section of the people practice open defecation, of which when it rains, they are all washed into the lakes, where people go back and fetch them, and they wouldn't even treat the waters because we don't have potable water. OT is one of the regions that lacks potable water. And so poor behavioral attitudes will let people create the nuisances, and it will get back to the lake. We'll still go and fetch a gallon. The blue container gallon of water costs about 30 Ghana cedis. And if a household of 4 or 3, how much are they ready to put into getting a water that we even call potable water? Because the potable water that we are referring to in code can be portable right at the top. But what about the transportation? What about the storage and even the usage? And so a lack of potable water is one. Inadequate improved sanitary facilities is one. And then again, we realize that lack of the law enforcement has also contributed to this. Because if people defecate openly, what happens? We don't send them to court. the cost percentage, the whole of last year, 2024, only 19 sermons were issued out in the whole region. And out of that, only 8 was successfully carried out. What about the rest? And so it's for these reasons that we have decided that, look, even though we lack potable water and other things, our law enforcement is also not encouraging. And therefore, let us look at the scope at which we can work and enforce the law from that point of view.
Right. And what's been the level of collaboration as well between you, the health officers, and then the regional coordinating council? Because now we understand the regional minister's attention has been drawn to this. He's raising all of the hell that he's supposed to be raising, wondering and asking questions as to why that many numbers. Is there a collaboration, a conversation that's already started to begin to bridge these deficits which you're raising?
Interestingly, for collaboration, I would say the environmental health unit in the OT Regional Coordinating Council has gotten 100% support. You see, when the data came, all the stakeholders, we tried to analyze, we tried to find out what are the contributing factors. And so last week, even the Regional Ghana Health Service Director was part of this program. So the support is there. Our regional minister is giving the full support. All municipal and district chief executives, they were all part of the program, including coordinating directors, finance officers. In fact, you could see that everybody is embracing that, look, we should enforce the law also to prevent the recalcitrant from continuing the bad practices that they've been doing when it comes to environmental sanitation. So the support is 100%.
And the infrastructure, making potable water available, places for human excreta to be taken care of, public latrines, if we can call them that, amongst many others. Is that support as well coming through now that we're having 10,000 typhoid cases?
All right. Just as I told you earlier on, as part of the law enforcement, we are going to make sure that houses that don't have latrine, they will be taken on. Because I gave you earlier on, I told you that about 6 continuous months there was hygiene, education, awareness creation in all the MDA. And so if as of now a landlord still refuses to put up latrine, it's because the person has decided not to put up the latrine. And so we have to apply the law. And so that is the point that one we will look at it from. When it comes to the potable water, as a regional coordinating council, we are still, I know my regional minister have done a lot of interventions, like talking to partners, talking to governments and all others to come in and help. But before they will come in, at least we have to make sure that our environment is clean. Otherwise, we can get the potable water, but the water will be contaminated.
Right then, madam, we'll leave it here, but I appreciate you speaking to us. That's Cynthia Setre. She's the Regional Environment Health Officer speaking to us this evening here on Hot Edition on 10,000 typhoid cases recorded in the first half of 2025 in the OT region.
To other stories, the Aircraft Accident and Incident Investigation and Prevention Bureau, AIB Ghana, is fighting back claims they are failing at their jobs. The Bureau says they have prevented multiple potential aviation crashes and still counting. Although the AIB Ghana is not mandated to investigate military aircraft, approval has been granted to be involved in the ongoing investigation into the recent Z9 helicopter crash, claiming 8 lives. My colleague George Quinning has been speaking with John Imboti, Commissioner, Aircraft Accident and Incident Investigation and Prevention Bureau at the AIB Ghana.
A very good afternoon. My name is George Quinning, and we are coming to you live from the Aircraft Accident Bureau. So we are here with the Commissioner, John Imboti, to really update the helicopter.
3 aircrafts. until we get approval from the sector minister. When we get approval from the sector minister, it's not as if we are supposed to go and lead the investigation. All over the world, nobody, it is only the military that does their own investigation. The military does their own investigation. And so we don't do it. But then, when they invite us to use our expertise, when the military invites us to use our expertise, we join them to do investigation, but we don't lead the investigation. Because of our expertise, they also have investigators among them, and so they do them. But any time there's the need, there's an incident, then they invite AIB to support them in the investigation, and that is where you need the minister's approval to do that. This has been the questions wherever you go. Say, we don't have any job because how many times will you have accidents in Ghana? You see, what we do is that it is because we do a lot of safety protocols behind the scene. That is why we don't have these accidents happening. And actually, this current administration, my target is that I want to do more of the prevention. And in doing preventions, you have to collaborate a lot with the stakeholders. And that is what we are currently doing. So that when you do more of the prevention, you will not see accident happening. No, we collaborate very well with the military, very, very, very well with the military. And they are very nice people and very professional. And so when there's the need or any time there's any incident, they invite us. They always invite us, and we go to support. The main purpose of accidents investigation is to prevent future occurrences. And to prevent future occurrences, after the investigation, you do recommendations. And out of this recommendation, when there's the need for reforms, then you do those reforms. But until then, you cannot just say we need reform because an accident happened. You wait until the investigations are done. When the investigations are carried out, then you then look at the reforms that may come or you need to take. It's not about they seem untouchable. Like I said, the military they also have their own investigators amongst them. And most of the time when we organize our trainings, we invite them and they join us. And anytime they also do have their training, they invite us. And so all over the world, the military aircrafts are investigated by the military. It is not only in Ghana, for obvious reasons, because of the security nature of their job, and also because they have the expertise. It is only when they feel that, look, what has happened, we need AIB, they have more superior expertise, then they invite us. And so we have never encountered any problem where we want to, or they have investigation or accidents and they don't allow us.
That was John Mboti, who is the Commissioner, Aircraft Accidents and Incident Investigation and Prevention Bureau at AIB Ghana. To some politics, NPP's former General Secretary Kwabena Agyepong has become the first to file his nomination to contest in the party's primaries ahead of the 2028 general election. The NPP has designated July 29 to August 28, 2025 for filing of nomination. About 5 prospective aspirants picked forms to run for the flag-bearer election, which has been slated for January 31, 2026 flag-bearer election. Kwabena Agyepong says he has what it takes to restore NPP's lost glory in 2028.
Cherished friends of our great elephant family, patriots of our beloved New Patriotic Party. Today marks a pivotal milestone in my lifelong political journey as I submit my nomination forms before you, inspired and resolute. This moment is more than a personal aspiration. It's a reaffirmation of my unwavering commitment to the values and principles that anchored the formation of the NPP. Values that must necessarily lead us into a new era of renewal and hope. I'm here once again because I believe deeply in the need to restore our cherished values of service, sacrifice and selflessness back into our party and in our general society. Ghana's democracy now stands in urgent need of leaders unafraid to take difficult decisions, to provide real solutions and to serve with authenticity, integrity, and substance. We must put the nation on a war footing, rolling our sleeves, restoring the culture of hard work, meritocracy, and professionalism back to the workplace and in the society in general. I envision a Ghana that is economically robust, resilient, fiscally responsible, socially cohesive, and fully accountable to the citizens. Ghana must heal from the stridently divisive and chronic polarization that has become an ugly feature of our recent politics. After nearly 7 decades of our independence, we must reflect on how far we have fulfilled what we set out to achieve with our independence. The Fourth Republic, it must be stated, is useful to recall, was born out of adversity with the sweat, toil, and blood of many Ghanaians. Unfortunately, the much-touted democracy has not yielded the expected economic dividend. Our current dire economic situation has led us to a demoralized, despondent, and disillusioned population. A growing sense of apathy has gripped our youth and twisted their mindset of what it means to selflessly serve our motherland, Ghana. Today, there are numerous unwanted features of our current existence. Poor sanitation, illegal mining, galamsey, high unemployment, non-existent city planning, resulting in chaotic explosion of slum settlements in our inner cities, a court system that is saturated with land conflicts, and many more.
That was Kwabena Ejapong, who is MPP's former General Secretary. Meanwhile, the party has expanded the voter register for the primaries to include additional categories of party officials and dignitaries. A circular issued today by the Presidential Elections Committee says the move follows a decision adopted at the party's National Annual Delegates Conference in July.
Many thanks, Christabel. And that's to bring us to business right about now, where Bismarck Awusa is ready and waiting to bring us the very latest in the world of business. And this is still Hot Edition here on 3FM 92.7.
September 2025. That's according to
Hello, good evening and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Awusa. Coming up tonight, new research forecasts another Bank of Ghana policy rate cut in September 2025 as disinflation persists, CD strengthens, and banking sector nears pre-DDE solvency. This story and others lined up for you. Please stay. Thanks for your company. Now to the details. The policy rate of the Bank of Ghana is expected to decline further in September 2025, following July's significant cut as favorable crop harvest and CD gains sustain disinflation. Research firm IC Securities says the move could ease lending rates and lower the cost of borrowing, even as the banking sector shows signs of recovery.
The Bank of Ghana could reduce its policy rate again in September 2025. That's according to IC Research, the research arm of IC Securities, which projects that favorable crop harvests and the strengthening cedi will sustain the downward trend in inflation. It believes these conditions will widen the real policy rate beyond its current 11.3%, paving the way for another cut. A reduction in the policy rate is expected to translate into lower lending rates, easing the cost of borrowing for businesses and households. In July 2025, the central bank slashed its base lending rate by 300 basis points to 25% after inflation eased to 5 consecutive months. IC Research notes that the Monetary Policy Committee appears optimistic about the possibility of single-digit inflation by the end of the year, although uncertainties remain around a potential utility tariff hike in the last quarter. Meanwhile, Ghana's banking sector is showing signs of recovery. The industry's capital adequacy ratio improved to 18.2% in June 2025, driven largely by government capital support to the National Investment Bank and ongoing capital restoration by private banks. IC Research, however, warns that asset quality concerns may still require regulatory intervention despite the progress made.
And that was a 3 Business News Desk report on IC Research forecasting another Bank of Ghana policy rate cut in September 2025 as disinflation persists, cedi strengthens, and banking sector nears pre-DDEP solvency. Moving on, Ghana's investment climate remained resilient in 2024, attracting over $651 million in new investments, even as the overall value of foreign direct investment dipped slightly. That's according to the Ghana Investment Promotion Center's latest report, which shows strong project growth, rising domestic participation, and sustained investor confidence despite global economic headwinds. The following 3 Business News Desk report has the details. The Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC, says the country secured a total of $651.7 million in investments in 2024, made up of $617.6 million in foreign direct investment and $34 million in local contributions. Although the value of inflows fell by about 5% compared to 2023, investor appetite remained strong, with 140 projects registered, an 11% increase over the previous year. The services sector led the way, attracting $281.6 million, while manufacturing followed with $220.6 million and topped in project count. Flagship investments during the year included Atlantic Terminal Services, a $276.9 million Dutch-Ghanaian joint venture in port logistics, and Julidyne Ghana Corporation, a Chinese apparel firm expected to create more than 600 jobs. China accounted for the highest number of projects, while the Netherlands contributed the largest investment value. The report notes that the 2024 projects will generate over 15,000 jobs, with nearly 90% reserved for Ghanaians. Analysts, however, caution that policy incentives are needed to channel more investments into the northern and rural regions, where agriculture and renewable energy remain largely untapped. Meanwhile, the GIPC says it will continue targeting priority sectors such as energy, agriculture, tourism, and digital transformation to strengthen Ghana's position as West Africa's preferred investment hub. And that was a 3 Business News Desk report on Ghana's investment climate remaining resilient in 2024, attracting over $651 billion in new investments, even as the overall value of foreign direct investment dipped slightly. And that brings us to the end of the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. For more business stories, please check out our website 3news.com. And that closes the curtain on Hot Edition. Thanks for your company.
Me,